What a calorie actually is. A calorie is a unit of heat, specifically the energy needed to raise 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. Nothing about food, nothing about weight, just heat. The calories on nutrition labels are actually kilocalories. 1 food calorie equals 1,000 real calories. The label is technically lying to your face. They dropped the kilo because the numbers looked too scary. How we measure food calories is genuinely absurd. You burn the food, literally. A technique called bomb calorimetry ignites a sample inside a sealed chamber and measures how much surrounding water heats up. That temperature change tells you the energy content. Your body doesn't work this way. It extracts energy through enzymatic digestion, not combustion. Calorie counts are approximations based on averages. Fiber technically has calories when burned, but your gut can't extract most of them. The number on your food label is an estimate based on setting it on fire. And we built an entire diet industry on top of that. VPNs. VPN ads make it sound like buying one makes you invisible, encrypted, untraceable. None of this is quite right. A VPN creates an encrypted tunnel between your device and a VPN server. Your traffic goes through that server to websites. The website sees the server's IP, not yours. Your ISP sees encrypted traffic going to the VPN, not your destination. What this actually protects: your ISP can't see which sites you visit. People on the same Wi-Fi can't intercept your traffic. Websites can't see your real location. What this doesn't protect: the VPN company itself sees everything your ISP used to see. You've moved the trust problem, not eliminated it. Advertisers still track you through browser fingerprinting and cookies. Your identity follows you regardless of IP address. VPNs are useful tools. They're not invisibility cloaks.
Now, a quick note from today's sponsor, Surfshark. If you listen to that VPN section, you already know the deal. A VPN doesn't make you invisible. It just protects a very specific weak point: the connection between your device and the internet, especially on public Wi-Fi. That's why I like Surfshark. It encrypts your traffic, hides your IP from the sites you visit, and makes it much harder for random people on the same network to snoop what you're doing. It also has features beyond just the VPN tunnel, like malware and tracker blocking options, and you can use one account across unlimited devices. So phone, laptop, desktop, all covered. If you want to try it, go to surfshark.com/ProfessorDeal or click the link in description or pinned comment and use code ProfessorDeal at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. You also get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can test it with basically no downside.
How search engines rank results. You type something into Google and assume the most relevant results appear first. You're partially right, and you're also playing a game you didn't know you entered. Google's algorithm evaluates hundreds of signals: content relevance, loading speed, mobile compatibility, and how long people stay on a page after clicking. But the dominant factor for competitive queries is links. Which other websites link to a page, and how authoritative those sites are. This created an entire industry called search engine optimization. Companies hire specialists to reverse engineer ranking factors and manufacture the appearance of authority. They build link networks and optimize pages specifically to rank rather than to inform. When you search for something valuable, you're often seeing whoever is best at gaming the algorithm, not who has the best information. Medical, financial, and legal searches are particularly affected. It's an arms race running inside every search you make. How your eyes actually see color. You're not seeing color. Your brain is constructing color from limited signals and making a lot of assumptions. Your retina has 2 types of photoreceptors. Rods handle low-light vision without color distinction. Cones detect color, and humans have 3 types sensitive to roughly red, green, and blue wavelengths. Just 3. You perceive millions of colors because your brain interpolates between these 3 signals. The visual cortex processes signals from the optic nerve and constructs your experience of the visual world. A significant portion of what you think you're seeing is prediction and gap-filling by the brain, not direct sensing. Color constancy demonstrates this. A white paper looks white under yellow indoor light and blue outdoor light, even though it's reflecting completely different wavelengths. Your brain adjusts interpretation based on context. The dress debate that went viral revealed this directly. Same image, different assumptions about ambient light, completely different perceived colors. How encryption works. When your browser shows HTTPS, something mathematically remarkable just happened. Two computers that had never communicated before established a shared secret that an observer watching every packet couldn't determine. Encryption uses mathematical problems that are easy in one direction and practically impossible to reverse. Modern encryption relies on the difficulty of factoring large numbers. Multiplying two enormous primes takes a fraction of a second. Finding which primes produced a given product would take longer than the age of the universe with current technology. HTTPS uses a protocol called TLS that starts with a handshake. Your browser and the server exchange public keys. Either party can encrypt a message using the other's key, but only the key's owner can decrypt it. This allows establishing a shared private key without ever sending it in readable form. All subsequent communication uses that shared key. This is the mathematics protecting your banking and messages. It works not because it's unbreakable in principle, but because breaking it requires computational resources that don't exist. How vaccines work. Your immune system has two components. The first responds to infections it encounters, slower and general. The second remembers previous infections and responds faster if they return. Vaccines exploit the second system. Your immune system recognizes invaders through surface proteins called antigens. When it encounters an unfamiliar antigen, specialized cells learn to recognize it and persist as memory cells. Future exposure triggers a rapid response before infection can establish. Vaccines introduce antigens without a functional infection. Traditional vaccines use weakened or killed pathogens. Subunit vaccines use isolated protein pieces. mRNA vaccines instruct your cells to temporarily produce antigen proteins, which the immune system then learns to recognize. The inflammation and fever from vaccines are evidence of the immune system engaging and learning. They're signs it's working, not signs something went wrong. What anesthesia does to your brain. You count backward from 10. You make it to 7. Then you're in recovery and time has vanished. You weren't asleep. Scientists aren't fully sure what you were. General anesthesia isn't sleep. Sleep is an active biological process. Your brain under anesthesia looks completely different on imaging than during sleep. It's closer to a reversible coma, though even that analogy breaks down. The drugs disrupt neural communication. Some block sodium channels, preventing neurons from firing. Others enhance inhibitory signals. The result is loss of consciousness, loss of pain perception, and prevention of memory formation. The mechanism for consciousness suppression isn't fully understood. We can describe what anesthetics do at the molecular level. We don't fully understand why suppressing those reactions eliminates consciousness. The answer is the same as the answer to what consciousness actually is, and we don't know that either. How GPS knows where you are. Your phone knows its location within meters, anywhere on Earth, without internet. This seems like it should require magic. It requires very precise clocks. The GPS system has at least 24 satellites orbiting 20,000 kilometers above Earth. Each broadcasts its location and exact time using atomic clocks accurate to nanoseconds. Your device picks up signals from multiple satellites simultaneously. If a signal takes a certain time to travel from a satellite to your device, and you know light speed, you can calculate your distance from that satellite. You're somewhere on a sphere of that radius. 2 satellites narrow it to 2 points. 3 satellites narrow it to 1 point in 3-dimensional space. A 4th satellite corrects for your device's clock imprecision. GPS drifts indoors because walls attenuate the signals. Modern phones combine GPS with Wi-Fi positioning and cell tower triangulation to improve indoor accuracy. What interest rates actually mean. The Federal Reserve raises rates by 0.25% and your rent goes up. Your groceries climb. Your mortgage increases. The connection isn't obvious. Interest rates are the cost of borrowing money. When the Fed raises rates, banks pay more to borrow. They pass that cost to customers. Mortgages get more expensive. Business loans cost more. When businesses pay more to borrow, They invest less. They hire less. Economic activity slows. Less activity means less demand for goods and services. Less demand cools inflation, which is the point. Your rent goes up because landlords with mortgages face higher costs. New construction slows because developers can't borrow cheaply. Less housing supply, with similar demand, means higher prices for existing rentals. The ripple from one rate number reaches almost every price in the economy. What your liver actually does. Most people think the liver processes alcohol. This is accurate the way saying lungs exist to blow birthday candles is accurate. Technically correct, deeply incomplete. Your liver performs over 500 distinct functions. It produces bile for digesting fats. It synthesizes proteins in your blood, including clotting factors. It stores glucose and releases it when blood sugar drops. It converts ammonia, a toxic waste product, into urea for excretion. It stores vitamins A, D, E, K, and B12. The liver is also the primary metabolic processor for every medication you take. This is why liver disease affects dosing. Some drugs are prodrugs that only become active after liver processing. Alcohol processing uses enzymes that convert ethanol into acetaldehyde, which is actually more toxic, then into acetate. The liver handles about 1 standard drink per hour. Everything beyond that accumulates in blood until the liver catches up. How touchscreens know where your finger is. You're pressing on glass and the device knows exactly where. Not because it feels pressure, but because your body is electrically conductive. Modern smartphones use capacitive touchscreens. A grid of electrodes runs through a transparent conductive layer beneath the glass. This grid maintains a stable electrical field across the surface. Your finger is mostly water and salt, making it a conductor. When it approaches the screen, it distorts the electrical field at that location. The distortion is measured across the entire grid simultaneously. The processor calculates the intersection of the affected row and column electrodes to find the touch point. This is why regular gloves don't work. Fabric insulates your finger from the field. Touchscreen gloves have conductive threads woven in. The system tracks multiple simultaneous touches by detecting multiple distortions at once, which is how pinch-to-zoom works. How the stock market actually works. People treat the stock market like a casino or a savings account. It's neither. It's a system for distributing ownership of companies. When a company wants to raise money, it divides ownership into shares and sells them publicly. That's an IPO. After that, those shares trade between investors. The company gets no money from these subsequent trades. When you buy Apple stock, you're buying from another investor, not from Apple. A share is fractional ownership. You're entitled to proportional dividends if the company pays them, and proportional assets if it liquidates. Stock price is determined by what buyers will pay and sellers will accept. This reflects what investors collectively believe about future earnings. But price can disconnect dramatically from underlying reality. Speculation, sentiment, and momentum all move prices independent of business performance. This is why bankrupt companies sometimes have high stock prices, and profitable companies sometimes trade below their cash value. Credit scores. The credit score feels like a judgment of your worth. It's actually a prediction of whether you'll repay borrowed money. Everything in the calculation connects to that question. Payment history is 35%. Missing payments hurts severely. But paying on time alone doesn't guarantee a good score. Credit utilization is next, around 30%. Using 80% of your available credit looks risky even if you pay every month. Keeping utilization below 30% signals control. Credit age matters. Older accounts with clean history signal stability. Closing old credit cards often hurts your score even if you don't use them. New inquiries temporarily drop your score. Too many applications at once suggest financial distress. The system rewards people who borrow and repay reliably. Someone who never borrows has no credit history and a mediocre score. Perfect financial responsibility paradoxically scores lower than strategic debt management. Insurance. Insurance is a bet. You're wagering that something bad will happen to you. The insurance company bets it won't. They win most of the time, which is why they're profitable. This sounds like a scam. It's not, for a specific reason. The financial impact of being wrong. If your house burns down without insurance, you lose everything. If you have insurance and nothing happens, you lose your premiums. The second loss is survivable. The first isn't. Insurance pools risk across many people. Everyone contributes small amounts. The pool pays out to whoever experiences catastrophic loss. The model works because the insured events don't all happen simultaneously. Probability smooths out when you have enough customers. What makes insurance feel wrong is you're hoping to lose the bet. You want your house to not burn down. You're paying for a product you hope to never use. That's actually the point. How memory works. You remember a moment from childhood. The details feel vivid and certain. Almost certainly, significant portions of that memory are fabricated. Memory isn't video recording. It's reconstruction. Every time you recall something, your brain reassembles fragments. It fills gaps with plausible details. It incorporates information you learned after the event. It adjusts for your current emotional state. This happens neurologically. Memories are stored as patterns of neural connections. Retrieving a memory activates those connections, but the act of retrieval also modifies them slightly. The memory you store back is a slightly altered version. Every time you remember something, you change it a little. Frequently recalled memories drift the most. The memories you're most confident about are often the most contaminated. False memories can be implanted with remarkable ease. Research shows people can be convinced they witnessed events that never happened after minimal suggestion. You don't replay the past, you reconstruct it every time.